What's up, hikers? Bigfoot here. It's Thursday. I'm going to start my FKT attempt at the Superior Hiking Trail in just 2 days. Wanted to go through just some last minute things. First, I'm going to talk about some gear that I changed. Then I want to show you guys, because I've gotten a lot of requests for this, all of my food that I've repackaged, what it looks like all laid out. And then I also want to show you how I am actually packing my Nero with everything. And lastly, just a last few questions that I had from some of you guys on my Tuesday video that I want to address before we get this thing started. Well, to get started, let's go ahead and cover gear. So I made a few changes since I posted my FKT gear video just a couple weeks ago, and a couple I alluded to. So first thing is a camp pillow. What I ended up doing is went with the Cocoon Hyperlight camp pillow. They advertise this weighs 2.4 ounces. It's not what I got. I got closer to 2.8 ounces on this thing, and I went with the Cocoon because it just seemed the most comfortable for me. I looked at a few different camp pillows, and the Cocoon was actually one of the cheaper of the camp pillows at REI. You can get some really cheap camp pillows online. I own a $15 Trekology camp pillow, but this is just so much more comfortable and weighs about the same. So that's the first change. I am bringing a camp pillow. Next thing that I'm adding, so I talked about using the lock sack to put all my food in, and it's odor proof. And originally I just talked about bringing the one 12 by 20. When I actually repackaged all my food and tried to fit everything in this, it didn't work. I'm bringing 8 days worth of food. I was a little naive to think that everything could fit in one of these. So I have an extra lock sack. These weigh, I think, about 1.4 ounces. So that will be added to my base weight. And I'll end up bringing 2 of these just to fit all of my food. The next thing that I'm adding is wet wipes. And the reason why I'm adding wet wipes is because I use these things all the time on the AT last year. It's kind of a nice to have than a need to have, but typically what's going to be happening is I'm going to be rolling into camp right at dusk after hiking probably 15 hours, and I'm not going to have the ability to go in and clean off all my legs. I'm probably going to be full of mud, and plus I don't want to get my brand new quilt all dirty and nasty. So I'm bringing wet wipes. This ends up being 1.8 ounces. I dried all of them out. So before I actually dried them out, this weighed about 7 ounces. After I dried them out, which by the way, this is probably about 30 to 35 wet wipes, then it dropped it all the way down to, I think it's 1.6 or 1.7 ounces. Let's check it right now on the scale. 1.6 ounces. So for me, definitely worth 1.6 ounces to be able to kind of clean up each night and also to keep my quilt clean. The next thing is I changed my micro USB cord. I had a micro USB cord that was about 3 times this length, and ended up just changing it out. I found one lying around the house. This is, I don't know, about a foot long compared to like 3 feet before. So anyway, I'll end up saving about a ½ ounce on that, which is pretty cool. Then I am ditching the case for the Z-Packs Ultralight toothbrush, and I'm just going to be keeping my toothbrush in my first aid kit, the little Ziploc bag that I was already bringing anyway. That will save me just a little bit of weight, 0.1 ounces, not a ton. And the last change that I'm making is I'm actually bringing a knife. So I've upgraded my knife from the Victorinox Swiss Army knife, which is small and doesn't really do a lot, and I'm going with what's called the SOG Ultra CTI. This thing is pretty sweet because it only weighs 1.2 ounces. It's heavier than my other one, but it's got a lot more purpose. Look how big the blade is. It's made of steel, but then the shaft is actually made of carbon fiber, which is why they're able to get this thing down to 1.2 ounces. But what's cool is the blade is, of course, a lot bigger, and it's 2.8 inches in length. So I can do a lot more things with this, and if anything, you know, I have protection. This is something that I wanted to try out, but I'm really excited about bringing this, and I'm going to keep this in my front pouch of my multi-pack. All right, so that covers the changes to my actual gear. Let's go ahead and pack everything up in my Nero, and let's see what my new base weight comes in at.
All right, so let's check what this comes in at. Total base weight here, 6.8 pounds. Well guys, this is my entire food setup repackaged, all ready to go. This is 8 days worth of food. This is 33,500 calories. and weighs just over 17 pounds. That includes all the Ziploc bags, so it's probably actually right around 17 pounds. And I am getting a whopping 123 calories per ounce. So really happy with what it turned out at. The only two things I didn't repackage are my RX bars, because I'm only eating one a day. It's just easier keeping them in their own package. And then I'm not packaging any of my Gatorade repackaging, because it's just way easier for me to pour this into my 20-ounce bottle. So besides those two things, everything else is repackaged. So I have a total of 7 breakfasts right here. And the reason why I have 7 and not 8 is because I'll be eating breakfast when I wake up on day 0, day 1, whatever you want to call it. So I'll be already full before I hit the trail, so I don't need to bring breakfast for that first day. But I have 5 days worth of the Mountain House skillet, breakfast skillet, right here. And then to change it up, I have 2 days that I'm bringing oatmeal. This is 4 packets of Quaker oatmeal. I have strawberry for one, and then the maple for the other. So that's my breakfast. All right, and for dinner, I am going to be eating spaghetti pretty much every day, pasta every day. I'm going with the spaghetti with meat sauce, Mountain House. I love that recipe. And then just a pasta Roma, another freeze-dried food that I had lying around because I didn't have enough for the spaghetti to go around. I'll be throwing in a teaspoon or tablespoon rather of olive oil. This will add 120 calories to my meal each and every night, so that'll be good. Then I have 2 ounces of peanut M&Ms each day for my sweet little snack. Then I have trail mix or gorp, 1 for each day. I did end up repackaging my press bars. They're a little sticky, so they stick together a little bit, but they'll be fine. So I'll be eating 3 of these each day. Then, of course, the bars that I made, I had the recipe. I'll put the recipe in again on this video in case if you guys didn't see and check out that last video, but I have 8 bars. These carry 842 calories. Oatmeal, honey, peanut butter are the main big ingredients. And then what I did is, this is a total of 8 packets of the sports beans, and I repackaged them. I have 5 days worth of orange and then 3 days of the green apple, and I'll just carry these in my multi-pack and eat, you know, whatever 10 to 15 beans a day or whenever I feel I just need a little kick in the rear end. But overall, this is what my entire food setup, all repackaged, looks like. One thing I am doing is I'm bringing 2 of the Mountain House freeze-dried packages to cook my meals in each and every day. I'll use this for breakfast, this for dinner. I'm bringing 2 just in case if something happens to one of the 2, I have one as a backup. And I probably won't be cooking it in my pot except for this right here, the actual oatmeal. Now, when I package this back up in the lock sacks, I'm going to throw all the freeze-dried food, the breakfast and the dinners all in one, since they take up a lot of space. It'll be lighter than the other, of course, and then everything else will go into my other lock sack. And I will have quite a bit of food in my 4-in-1 pack. I will package 1 day's worth, and in the very beginning, I'll probably throw a little bit more food in there just to disperse the weight. To keep my Nero right at the 20-pound max limit, and have everything else in my multi-pack. So let's go ahead and package all this back up. I want to show you guys what everything looks like here once it's all in its lock sacks, and I want to show you how I actually pack my Nero.
All right, guys, so this is all of my gear laid out with all my food repackaged. Wanted to show you how I'm going to pack everything in my Nero. First things first, I always put my sleepy bag in first because it's the last thing I need when I set up camp. Now what I'm going to do is my extra pair of socks, which is really my only extra clothing, I'm going to keep in my stuff sack of my quilt. Once I get those nice and dirty, because I'll alternate those each day, then I'll probably just put them in its own Ziploc bag. But this will go in the very bottom. Then the next thing that I'm going to do is put in my repackaged food. Now, as you can see, the repackaged food, I kind of alternated the different dinners and breakfasts so that I don't have to pull everything out to get down to the breakfast or vice versa. So just less work for me. Same with this over here. Now, because this is the heavier one, I'm actually going to put in my daily snacks and food in first. And I'm going to set these in just like this, and they're going to stack on top of each other. Tried different variations of this, and that seemed to be the most comfortable for me, with having it on my back, feeling the different weights, distributing the different weights. and is able to keep my pack still nice and slim. So as you can see, still nice and slim here. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is put my bot in there. Now inside my bot, it's going to have my fuel canister, it's going to have my stove, and it's going to have my Bic lighter. So all that's going to go in, and I am going to set that just to the outside of my food bag, which is right here. Next thing I'm going to put in is my tent. Now I'll put my sleeping pad in the same stuff sack as my tent to save a little bit of weight there. And if my tent is wet and drenched, I'll just put it on the outside. But if it's not, then I have no problem keeping it in there. And then that will go over the food in the bot. And then the last thing that I'll have in here is what I keep in my ditty sack, which is going to be my Ultralight pillow. It's going to be my anchor with the power cords, and it's going to be my first aid kit. As I mentioned before, I could go with a lot smaller ditty sack, but this is just what I had lying around. I didn't want to go and buy another one. So that will go on the very top, which is similar how I've always packed my pack. And then what I'll do is close it, close the roll top. Now one thing about the Nero that's a little different is the rip cord that's on the sides of the shock cord can get a little bit tangled and twisted as you're rolling it up, which is a little bit annoying. I've just kind of gotten used to it, but as the more I've been doing it, it's gotten a little bit easier. So that is what my pack. Now, of course, this doesn't have a frame, so you'll kind of mold this to what's comfortable for you, but that's what my pack is going to look like. Now, as you can see, I got a few more things out here. My water bottles are going to go in the right sleeve, so I keep my water filter, the Be Free, in the right sleeve, which is just easier for me to take out and put in with my right hand. My InReach Explorer will go on my upper right shoulder pad. Now, this is the toilet paper and my wet wipes. Since they're dry, I can keep them together. Those will go in the mesh pocket along with my Patagonia Houdini and my Montbell trekking pants, or tachyon pants rather. So all that will be on the outside, and the rest, how it's going to work is I always keep my headphones in the shoulder pouch, little mesh pocket here, easy for me to get here. And then my 20-ounce water bottle will go right here so that it's easy for me to reach and to stay hydrated. And that's basically how everything that I'm going to pack on my pack, what it looks like afterwards. And then with the multi-pack. So the multi-pack, I will be carrying all of my food that I'm going to snack on each day. Now in the beginning, I'm going to keep a few more things in my multi-pack to take the weight off of this pack here. So this pack actually ends up running right at 20 pounds. It's like right on the point of 20 pounds, and everything else is going to go in my Z-Packs multi-pack. So what's in here right now, I actually have a few packets of the bars. I have my day's worth of Gatorade packets, and then I have a few actually of these bars. I'm only going to eat one a day, but again, I wanted to distribute less weight in my actual Nero, try to get to that 20-pound capacity, and then have everything else put in my multi-pack. Then, of course, I'll have my Gorp that I'll eat each day. I got my jelly beans, my sports beans. I have my M&Ms that I'll eat each day, and then my RX bar. And then the gear that I keep in here will be my phone, my bug spray, my headlamp. This is my sanitizer. My body glide, because I'll probably have to apply it a few times a day. And then lastly, my knife. So all of this will be going in my multi-pack each and every day. Now, as I get done and eat a lot of my food and can distribute that weight, then I'll only end up having this in my pack each day, because basically this is my snacks right here that I'll be consuming every single day. I'll be eating during the day, a whole thing of peanut M&Ms, my Gorp, 4 packets of Gatorade, my bars here, my press bars, my big lunch here, which is my oatmeal honey bar, of course my RX bar, and then I'll also have sports beans, some sports beans I'll eat every day. So that's what I'll eat during the day. But anyway, that's kind of how my multi-pack looks. Let's go ahead and weigh to kind of get a final weigh-in on what the multi-pack is going to look like. I'll just show you what the weight of my actual pack here is, and then I'll attach the multi-pack to the Nero and show you what my overall weight with food and everything is. So let's do that right now.
All right, so here's my Nero. I'm just going to weigh that, everything but what I have in my multi-pack. All right, 19.9, right on. All right, now this is with my multi-pack on. Let's go ahead and check in to see what my total weight is. One thing I do not have is I don't have any water in my water bottle. So I'll probably carry about 20 ounces of water, which will be just over a pound. So you can add that to that weight. But everything, not including water, comes in at 23.6 pounds.
All right, guys, well, before I wrap up this video, wanted to answer a few more questions that you guys had for me that I thought were great questions from my Tuesday video. And then we are going to call this thing a wrap and get on the trail here in a couple days. So first question comes from MRO, and MRO asked, why go north to south instead of south to north? And then why July for your FKT attempt? Good luck. We'll see you when you get back. You can do this. Focus well. All right. So great question. First and foremost, it's a lot more practical for me to go southbound. I live in the cities, the Twin Cities, and to get from where I live here all the way up to the northern terminus is probably somewhere around a 6.5 hour drive. So to get to the northern terminus, 6.5 hours. To get to the southern terminus, probably about 2.5 hours. When I get done, I have to go back to work, depending on when I get done, but I have to go back to work on Monday, and it's a lot easier and convenient for me to get back home a lot faster when I'm going to be exhausted from the southern terminus. The other reason why I'm going from north to south is because the very last 55 miles does not have any designated campsites that are run and operated by the Spear Hiking Trail. There is a campsite that's operated by the University of Minnesota Duluth called the Bagley Nature Campground, I believe. Even though with that, there's still a 46-mile stretch from the southern terminus to Bagley. So if I started, I'd have to hike a minimum of 46 miles just to get there, and I don't want to do that with a heavy pack in the beginning and overstretch my boundaries. So that's the reason why I'm going southbound. Now, why am I going in July? A very good question. If I could pick any month to go, I would go in September. The change of the colors, fall is so beautiful up here in Minnesota, and the bugs really drop off. But I'm doing another hike in September, the JMT. So originally I was going to do this hike in September, and then I got my permit for the John Muir Trail, which trumped this hike. So I just moved this up, and what worked out with my work schedule was the end of July. It's not the best time. I'm going to get lucky with some weather, it looks like so far, but it's going to be full of mosquitoes. That's just something that I have to deal with. But again, if I could pick any month, it would be probably sometime in the middle of September. So the next question comes from Nathaniel. Nathaniel says, I love to run trails. What are you doing daily to get physically ready for this thing? Best of luck. Great question. So lately, it's been really inconsistent. And I'll kind of fill in why. So in May and in June, I had opportunities to go out and hike, do some pre-hikes on the Spirit Hiking Trail, and I was probably running about 4 or 5 days a week. I love to run, especially if I have opportunities to go out and run on trails. If not, I'll run around my house, on the roads, things like that. But since I got into July, we did a Boundary Waters trip in the very beginning of July, and around that time, I don't know if I had food poisoning, I think that's what it was, but I got really sick and I was down for about a week and a half. Wasn't able to really work out, had some issues, just trying to take care of my body during that time, vomiting and some other things that I don't want to specify. But so that kind of put me down for about a week and a half. And then the last couple weeks, work has taken a lot of my time. I actually got relocated from my Fargo and Grand Forks market. I still have a few stores in Fargo, but most of all my operators now are all in the Twin Cities. So, which the nice thing is, I get to sleep home a lot more often. But the flip side of that is I've had a lot of work to do with transitioning my operators with the consulting role that I have with McDonald's. I haven't had a ton of time with making my YouTube videos, getting ready for this hike, and work. So lately, I've probably been only able to squeeze in 2 to 3 runs a week, and then of course dealing with my sickness. So it's really been a little inconsistent. I wish I would have had a little bit more time and had some more time to prepare for this physically. So that will be a challenge for me. I love challenges, as you saw on the Appalachian Trail. So that's just another thing that I kind of have to overcome. Wish I was a little bit more ready, but the good part is I have trimmed about 5 pounds off my body weight here in the last 60 days. Would like to still get rid of about another 10 pounds, but I'm feeling pretty good. I'm over my sickness, so I'll be ready as we start here on Saturday the 29th. And the last question comes from Robert Wood. Robert asks, who sets the clock on departure and arrival? And is there a demarcated starting line and finish line? So I control the start, the arrival, departure, and there is an official starting point and there's an official ending point. So in the northern terminus, I will get dropped off at the trailhead. I got to hike about 1.5 miles to get up to the 270-degree overlook. And once I get to the top of that, I'll be able to see Canada. And there's a sign that says starting of the SHT, the Spirit Hiking Trail, something like that. But it also has a sign that says 270-degree overlook. So that will be the starting point. And then the ending point will be at Wild Valley Road. And I actually had one of my subscribers or one of my patrons send me a picture of what it looks like. So there's actually a sign that says that it's the southern terminus of the Superior Hiking Trail. So I'll know exactly where I'm at. Now the ways that I'm tracking myself, first and foremost, I got my DeLorme InReach Explorer that I'll have with me during my entire through hike. And then every day when I start my hike, I will be using the GPS mode on my Garmin Fenix 5, so I'll record every single step that I take. And then at the very start, I will start a stopwatch and do a timestamp on my phone. And at the very end, I'll stop the stopwatch and do another timestamp. So got quite a few things I'm doing just to make sure I know exactly what my start time was and my end time. All right, guys, well, that wraps it up. I am stoked for this hike. I've been getting ready for it for quite a while. And I just wanted to show some appreciation. Read so many positive comments here in the last couple weeks of folks that are behind me, folks that are supporting me, giving me encouragement. Need all the encouragement that I can get. I know that there's going to be some really tough days out there when I'm grinding in 40 plus miles a day during the middle to end of my hike, but feel really, really confident. I'm really excited for the challenge and the opportunity to be able to do this. Now, as I mentioned in my Tuesday video, if you want to track me and see where I'm at every point of the day, I will have that DeLorme InReach Explorer on, and I'll be setting points every hour to conserve battery. But if you become a member of my Patreon community, for as little as $5, you can get the GPS link and track me. Also, I will be doing a live trail feed each and every day while I'm actually on the Spirit Hiking Trail. Might answer some questions for anybody that's on and just kind of do some brief updates. But if you become a Patreon and again, pledge $5 or more, I will be sending you a private invitation to this private Facebook page that I have. I'll be sharing the GPS link and how to track me and follow me. And then, of course, make sure that you go to my Instagram or Facebook page. Both follow Bigfoot, 2 words, and I'll probably do about 1 post a day. Kind of just depends on my service that I'm getting and how much battery that I have on my phone. So that wraps it up, guys. Really excited. This is a huge week for me. Stay tuned for many more updates here. And of course, remember to follow Bigfoot.